Women have been an integral part of military history since the birth of our nation. I know the contributions women have made while serving in the military, specifically in wartime.
It was part of our mission because we could reach out to the community and we had the ability to actually speak to the women, because my team was unique in the fact that of my 8-person team, 4 of us were women. And that's very, very uncommon in a deployed environment and just in a regular military, an Army unit. So we would take just the females, the 4 females from our team out to speak to the women and children. Because most of the time, if you take a bunch of infantrymen and have them speak to women and children, they're not going to be as comfortable and they're not going to open up about what is actually going on in their area. The interesting thing was, even though the men were not allowed to attend the Shura, they would be standing right outside of the building to ensure that their wives and daughters didn't tell us something they didn't want us to know.
While I was the only female Arabic linguist in my detachment, there were other female intelligence assets working up at the headquarters. I'll never forget, even when we staged in Jordan prior to the invasion, we left right after the New Year in 2003, and they tried to put me in a female tent, and I went to the sergeant major, and I was like, "You're not putting me in a female tent. That's just going to break down communication. It's just going to make things difficult. A male soldier is not going to want to come in there and find me." I was like, "No, you can just put me in the back corner and I'll be fine." So we're going to work and train as a team, and we're going to fight that way too.
I was logistics. I was supply sergeant for the 184th Sustainment Command. We're one of 4 commands in the United States. So we were over all the logistics of Afghanistan, South Afghanistan. But what I did is I was a supply sergeant for over 400 soldiers and civilians. And all my soldiers were top heavy. So I was just the E6, and 75% of my unit was top heavy. So I had a lot of bosses.
I deployed around March of 2004 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. We were in southern Baghdad. When I was deploying, I was actually specially trained in what's called tech escort, and the reason they had us do that is for the weapons of mass destruction. So they gave us specialized training on how to react to finding weapons of mass destruction, pack them so that they could be transported outside of country. So that's what I thought my mission was when I was going overseas. And when I got overseas, they realized that they didn't have the manning to do all the ground operations. So they actually switched our platoons from a very technical field to now we're going to do mobilized infantry. And so that's why I was thankful for my ROTC training, that we're all trained as infantrymen, because I was able to call back to that since I didn't receive any pre-deployment training like some of the other platoons did. So we did recons, cordon search, observation, we did raids, checkpoints, route security. We did, all of that along with the combat arms units who were on the same base as we were when we were in Iraq. But there was a big debate, and if you looked at any of the newspapers, they were saying women aren't allowed in combat, they're not supposed to be there, they're not there. But in Iraq, there is no front line. When you're in Iraq, all the lines are blurred. So whether you were support or on the ground, you can't avoid rockets and mortars. And then for us, we were doing, direct combat missions. We were doing maneuvers to direct fire, react to direct fire, react to indirect fire, everything that I had learned, so many years ago. And there's even a cartoon of a woman sitting on her bunk in full gear that came out while we were there, and it says "No women in combat" on the paper she's reading. And me and a few of my, fellow platoon leaders were like, "No women in combat, look what we're doing."